Hey guys, Mitch Kendra here from Racetracks Online, and welcome to 6D's First Look. Here we are right outside the pits. The Oracle Park is in the background here behind us. There's no riding today, unfortunately, because of weather expected this weekend. They have the tarp all over the track. Track is covered, track is sealed. Not going to see any bikes today on the tracks, but we did get some riders, talk to them in the pits. Let's get into those now. All right, Kenny, coming into last weekend, first race of the year, obviously don't want to go down in the first lap, but you had a good fight through the field. Just recap us your weekend and how everything went.
Yeah, so the weekend started off really good. We were on the board every single practice, qualifying practice, which is good. And then my night started off really good with a really good start in a heat race, and I ended up taking that win. And it was nice to have first gate bait going into the main, and I even had a really good start in the main event. But AP just went in a little deep, and everybody went around the inside, so I ended up being midfield and crashing the first rhythm. It was unfortunate. It wasn't my fault. Things like that can happen, but the problem was that my bike was really twisted up, so I ended up going to the mechanics area, and we straightened out my wheel, but my bar mounts were all twisted and really jacked up. So, and even while I was riding, I could have sworn they were moving and twisting more and more because they just weren't solid anymore. So I did the best I could. The track got pretty chewed up, actually. It was kind of soft. So as it got ruddier, I just had a really hard time going in a straight line, especially with how cupped out the whoops were. And it just, I just struggled a little bit, let's put it that way, as the track got chewed up. But my mindset was I needed to finish the race and as far, up there as I possibly can. It's not ideal to be that many points down right off the bat, but it is a long season. And, obviously we're having a mudder tomorrow. And I left there with a smile on my face because I did everything I could, and I think for what cards I got dealt, I was still riding well, and I just savaged as much as I can.
Yeah, and I know at the press conference you talked about like having a good mindset coming into this year, and you felt like really reset physically and mentally, even though you didn't have that result you wanted to, but you were able to charge good. Like you still felt pretty satisfied with it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just happy right now. I'm pretty good physically, I'm good mentally, and even though it didn't really go 100% my way, I still end up leaving there with a smile, and I ended up having fun, and that's really what it's all about. I was there with my family too, and we're healthy, not hurt, so that's the absolute most important. And I'm gonna try and have that same mindset race by race and just see where we end up. I know we've said it in the past, but I think you really got to be there and get there mentally to take it race by race. And I think I'm ready for that. I'm not really looking at a championship or whatever. I want to take it race by race. And I honestly just really enjoy racing my dirt bike at the moment, and I think that's what I'm holding on to, and that's why I'm still out here in the end.
All right, Julien Beaumer, Supercross debut last weekend. Talk us through how everything went.
It went pretty good. Qualifying was good. Obviously, being in B group, it's a little bit harder. So, track might be, you could say, a little bit better, but it's hard to find that pace and find that groove when you don't have those guys out there with you to bank off of almost. I had to learn from that, but once I got going in the heat race, I was a little tense at first, and then loosened up for the main, and first 10 minutes were amazing. I felt really good, and then I just made a couple mistakes those last 5 minutes, but we rewatched film this week, know what we need not to do, and we're going to take it into this weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned not happy with the later half of the race, but in the first part, was there a point where you're like, holy crap, like I can win this race? Like what's running through your mind at that point?
Yeah, for sure. I felt pretty good. I didn't get tired in the main. I felt awesome. Just some little things that I struggled with. I struggled with adapting to the way the track was. I struggled with adapting to the chop, the way the track just broke down. So we went back, learned from that this week, and we're going to take that into this weekend.
All right, Phil and Nicoletti, we were talking here before the camera started rolling. You raced the 2010 San Francisco Supercross here. Just give us your recap of that. It was now 14 years ago already.
Yeah, I think I was a FMF KTM. That was supposed to be a mudder then, but I don't think it really rained that much. And I went down with a mud front tire and a paddle on the rear, and they pulled the covers off, and it's bone dry out there. So, I don't know. I think I got top 10 that night, but it's 14 years ago, so I hit my head a few times since then. Can't really remember.
Yeah. All right, and obviously the issue, you couldn't start the main last week. Looking forward to this weekend. Talk us through your week and everything, just how everything went, expectations for this weekend then.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we left last Saturday with our, scratching our heads. We didn't really know what to do. And everyone saw down on the start line, we ran through certain protocols, unplugging shit, changing map switches and this and that, trying to get my bike to run. But ultimately, it came down to an injector issue, and it was kind of out of our control. And we really didn't figure out the solution until about Tuesday morning on kind of why the injector went bad and this and that. So it's just kind of just the way the cards fell. I mean, that's man and machine and things like that happen. But we fixed the problem. Kind of a bummer, but because it is like, to me, it's a bullshit part. I mean, we've been running EFI now for how long, and to have an injector go bad, I mean, how often does that really happen, especially right before the gate drop of a main event? So we'll learn from it, and we'll come here this weekend and do the same thing we did last weekend and try and put in a good result.
6D Helmets is dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. 6D's patented Omni-Directional Suspension technology provides protection capabilities unmatched by any helmet design. Established in 2011, 6D is a technology leader in both motorcycle and bicycle helmet design. All right, Robbie Wageman, talk us through race last weekend, expectations heading into this weekend.
Yeah, last weekend was pretty good. It was a good starting point for the first round of the 2024 season. Ended 14th in the main, so not exactly where I wanted to be, but hey, it was a good start to the season, and we can only build from there. So I'm looking forward to this weekend, and definitely like to be in that top 10 and hopefully progress from there.
Obviously, the first race of the year, did you change anything bike-wise, or is it just kind of see how the first race goes and go from there? Any big changes for this race this weekend?
Yeah, I actually kept my bike the exact same. Just went back home, did a little bit of riding, and just tried to work on a few things that I did poorly at the first round. So just tried to fix those, and I mean, who knows what we're going to be dealt with the weather here. So either way, we're going to have some fun and try to do as good as we can.
All right, Shane, first race of the year last weekend. Just walk us through everything, how everything went.
Yeah, A1 honestly didn't go too bad. It was, I mean, we were counting it up. Like, I had less than 10 days on the bike, and it's a lot better transition this year. Just the team has been working on the bike all year, and I got to kind of jump right on it and get everything that they've been working on. So, yeah, not a bad start to the season. I had some pretty good intensity, had some pretty good aggression, and some decent starts. So for this weekend, I'm excited to race again and do more of that stuff. It's just going to be a little bit wet. So my bike setup at A1 was a little bit too stiff for how the track was. Like, it was a little bit mellow, but at the same time, like, the track just got super rough. I think my bike was good for the jumps and stuff, but once it actually broke down and got rough, that's where I was like pretty stiff and kind of getting beat up. So, yeah, we softened it up a little bit and sped it up, and it's working a lot better. It was working this week in Florida, and so, yeah, it's we're not really going to use too much of that tomorrow in the mud, but we'll be good.
And then obviously you had the World Supercross for the off season. That kind of helped you, I guess, stay up to pace. Did you kind of feel like, was it a short off season for you? Did you kind of feel like you just kind of kept the ball rolling, like physical wise, like heading right into A1?
Yeah, honestly, it's really good. I kind of understand what Brayton always meant when he was like, oh yeah, I'm like warmed up and ready to go. So the thing is, like, it's even with the SMX rounds and then WSX, it's like we have the races periodically to where it's like I literally only had like a month off of racing, which flew by super fast with Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So, yeah, it was kind of like getting on the bike, and it wasn't like having to come off the couch and like figure out where my body is and learn how to like figure out my timing on Supercross. It was kind of like straight on the bike, like getting a feel of the bike, and then I could kind of make changes straight away because I was in tune, like fitness-wise and everything. It just,
you have two things to work on.
Yeah, there wasn't really a transition. It was like the 250 in WSX straight to the 450 on Supercross and just straight to learning that. So, yeah.
All right, TJ, last weekend, LCQ win, making the main. Just walk us through, obviously an East Coast guy making the main. Talk a bit about that experience of being out West Coast, getting in the main event.
Yeah, it was definitely a different experience, right? It's weird, like, my mom and dad were there, and it was a new team this year, like, first race together. It's like you kind of don't really like know the vibe or anything like that, so it's kind of like you have a lot of pressure on you to, not a lot of pressure from the team, but just like self-pressure of being like, like I can't, let the team down round one, right? So to be able to get the win in the LCQ, give the team a lot of publicity, was definitely something that I'm happy with coming into this weekend where, yeah, the weather's not looking right, but it does help me because I am from the East Coast. I've raced a lot of mud growing up. I was just telling my mom, it's just like another local day at Claverack or something, like this local track back home. And so just happy that it went as smooth as it did last weekend. The first race with the team, first race with a new mechanic, first time I ever even had a mechanic. Normally my girlfriend would take me down to the gate or we just find someone, right? So it definitely was super, super good, and just happy to get it done and carry the momentum into this weekend.
Cool. So any changes for this weekend from last weekend, like bike setup wise or anything, or just running the same stuff pretty much?
Same stuff. I tried a few things during the week, but I'm flying back and forth. So at MTF we got a lot of rain, so I couldn't really ride a lot this week. So I had a lot of stuff to try, but I just really didn't get the time to change it. But in the next coming weeks, I think my bike will be a lot better with some other, aftermarket parts that we're kind of getting now that the season's kind of on the way. And, when you get good results, you get a lot of parts to try. So, my bike's pretty much the same this weekend except for some mud prep.